What happens when you stop holding horror devs back from creating the game they want to create? Let me take you back to 2017, when a game was released that looked innocent, but you could feel something dark underneath the surface. A game about fragile children navigating a world of grotesque people. A game known as Little Nightmares. And the people behind it were Tarsier Studios. What they made was kind of incredible. The monsters were scary in the best way. Disfigured and wrong in a sense you only see in worlds like this. It immediately built a fan base. It got an equally insane sequel. Both games established a visual language that felt unique in horror, but it also felt like there was a ceiling, like the darkness was dialed to about a 7, like there was a version of this studio's vision that was just out of reach. The franchise had a tone to maintain, an audience to manage, and you could feel that in every monster design that stopped just short of going too far. Then Little Nightmares 3 came out not too long ago, and Tarsier weren't even the ones who made it. That job went to Supermassive Games, and while that game was alright, I guess, it's even softer than what came before. But at that same time, Tarsier was quietly building something else entirely. So today I want to show you what it looks like when a studio stops building something for an audience and starts building something for themselves. A game that is so disturbing and evil that for some reason I just can't stop thinking about it. So today I want to introduce you to 2026's We open with 4 children standing around a well, looking down into it. A 5th shows up and the screen starts going red. The scene then cuts immediately before we understand what we just saw, but that well is going to haunt everything that follows. We wake up as the boy, a child in a sack mask with a noose hanging loosely around his neck, alone in a small boat on dark water. And even in this opening moment in the middle of nowhere, I could notice something. In Little Nightmares, the world is dark and unsettling, but there's almost always a kind of dark fairy tale logic to it. But this opening and the well, they don't feel like a fairy tale. They feel like something happened in this world and we're arriving too late to understand it. Following the ominous red light coming from the buoys, we find the girl floating in the water. This is the boy's sister, wearing a white nightgown and a broken bunny mask. We pull her into the boat and she immediately attacks him. When she finally calms down, there's a small conversation between the two.
I thought you let... Where are the others?
That's all the backstory we get. The others are gone and we need to find them. So let's navigate towards the island by taking the boat towards the rocks in the distance. The shore, when we reach it, looks like a swamp that opens into an industrial area. The first real sense of what this world is. There are suitcases on the beach that the game uses to teach us its language without words. If it glows, we can interact with it. If there's a white dot, we're close enough to pick it up. Inside the building, we find the first friend called Hood. She wears a pointy sack over her head with an orange patch stitched onto the front. But she tells us something strange when we find her.
You should leave. While you still can.
And then she disappears into the darkness. When we leave the building, we can see it. REANIMAL's first monster. This is Sniffer. He's lanky, animalistic, and moves in that specific way that Tarsier Studios has always been amazing at. The jerky, unnatural steps like there's something eldritch inside of a skin suit. We follow it into a bathroom and watch it escape through a hole carved out of the stomach of a human corpse. This is the first moment you can feel exactly how different this game is from anything Tarsier has made before. But trust me, this is nothing compared to what we're about to see later. And look, Little Nightmares had disturbing moments, and of course they were critically successful. But something happened to Tarsier Studios that made them move to a different project completely instead of making Little Nightmares 3. Right after Little Nightmares 2 launched in 2021, Tarsier officially confirmed they were leaving the world of Little Nightmares behind, because their parent company, Embracer Group, did not own the Little Nightmares IP, so they directed the studio to begin working on a fresh franchise that Embracer would fully own. But Bandai, who owned Little Nightmares, didn't want it to end, so they handed the series to the studio behind games like Until Dawn. Now, here we are, in a game that Tarsier considers a spiritual successor to their work on Little Nightmares, but designed to be a significantly darker and more terrifying evolution of that style. And you can feel that from the moment the game starts putting monsters like the Sniffer on the screen. I'm here watching in absolute horror as the Sniffer slowly approaches the bench I'm hiding under. His movement, the way he's throwing the skin suits to the side. We're about to get caught, but then the suitcase above us moves and Hood crawls out of it. The creature isn't ready to give up. He chases us inside the trains, on top of them. He even uses an ice cream truck to chase us and offers Hood an ice cream. She looks like she's forgotten everything that happened in the last 10 minutes and gets abducted by the Sniffer. Further ahead, he takes her into a cinema. We follow because our sole purpose is to rescue all of our friends, and I don't want to think about what the Sniffer plans to do with her. Inside, there's a disturbing film playing on the screen. A circle turns into 5 bunnies. There's rotting food and then a single dead bunny. The 4 kids standing around the well from the start of the game. Then there are 4 bunnies, with 1 bunny dead in the center. It's ritualistic and suggests that perhaps REANIMAL is built on some kind of dark sacrifice, but what stands out are the bunnies, especially considering the girl's mask is a white bunny too. We rescue Hood from deep within the cinema, and the Sniffer does everything in his power to stop us, including this, tricycle chase? It's not enough, and eventually we arrive at a gas station, and this is when things become terrifying. Skin suits start appearing from the town behind us, literally sliding down the tall buildings, and Sniffer appears from the body next to us. We need to get out of here right now before this whole area gets destroyed. We make it to the ice cream truck, and for a moment it seems like this might be over, but the Sniffer shows up again and we'll have to fight back this time. The idea of being in a moving vehicle while you have to kick out a predator is incredibly tense, but eventually I hit him hard enough to be freed, and the game gives us exactly 1 second to make it feel like we win before the truck goes off a cliff. We're back at the well. This time we see a lamb at the bottom of it. It slowly starts coming alive, and then the screen turns red. The vision ends and we slowly start waking up on the beach. You can feel that something horrible is going to happen, but it's impossible to tell what it all means. Hood is still with us, so that means we only have 2 friends left to rescue. Let's get back in the boat to explore more of this world. We're navigating through islands of ruined roads and sunken buildings, an entire town that's been swallowed by water. This is the first real time we see the scale of what happened to this place, but if we look around, it's clear to see it was already in trouble before the flood arrived. Naval mines are scattered between buildings and defensive walls have collapsed into the sea. This must have been a war zone before it became a flooded one. So what does the well have to do with this, or the ritual we saw? We navigate around the mines carefully, the boat slowly passing through debris and bloated bodies drifting just under the surface, things that used to be people trying to attack us when we pass. And then we see friend number 4, known as Bandage. He's standing on a ledge above the waterline. We move toward him, then something enormous drops down from above and takes him in one movement. A deformed pelican with a disgusting throat pouch. It's already moving before we understand what happened, carrying Bandage toward a lighthouse in the distance. It's sitting right at the top of that cliff. That's where we're going. But on the way there, something horrifying stops me completely. There's a shape in the water ahead of us. It's just kind of sitting there, but when we get closer, it slips beneath the surface. It's right in front of something that looks like an entrance to another part of the town, another corridor of half-submerged buildings we haven't explored yet. I steer the boat towards it and then... Nope, I'm not dealing with that. We're going to the lighthouse. We're climbing a cliff to get to the top, and it opens up into something I genuinely wasn't expecting from this game. A field of flowers as far as the eye can see. Wide, quiet, weirdly peaceful. There's soft music playing that makes the whole thing feel like a dream. After everything this world has shown us, the beauty is almost more unsettling than the horror. A barn materializes on the horizon as we move through the flowers, and inside it we find pigs. A small group of them huddled together, blocking whatever it is at the back. We push through and find a large hog as the children approach to see what's wrong. It's not hostile, it just tells us calmly to leave. So, we leave. And I need to say something about what REANIMAL is doing visually, because it deserves to be acknowledged directly. This game is absolutely gorgeous, even alongside the horror. The lighthouse on the cliff, the flower field, the way the camera pulls back at exactly the right moment to show how small the children are against all of this. Think about what a horror game protecting a franchise does when it needs a breather. It gives you like a safe room, somewhere functional that gets you from one threat to the next without risking anything. It doesn't put a field of flowers in front of you and just lets it exist. Tarsier did that here because nobody stopped them. And that specific kind of freedom is exactly what this video is about. The lighthouse is no exception. We find Bandage, get him out of the cage, and the pelican reveals itself and it starts chasing us. We go down the lighthouse stairs, out across the wooden walkways bolted into the clifftop rocks. The pelican, too big and distorted behind us the whole way. We make it to a small barn and get inside, but that's when the other seagulls start attacking us. They come in from all over the screen, dive bombing with the kind of violence that makes you wonder what exactly the flood did to the animals on this island. We quickly get the barn door shut. The pelican hits the roof hard enough to break it, crashing down into the middle of the pigs. A lantern comes down with it, and while we lock the door from the other side, the pelican, the pigs, all of them burn alive. We're already running by the time the fire really takes hold. We move until we reach a bus stop at the edge of the field where something strange happens to the girl again. The light starts flashing red and we see the lamb at the bottom of the well again. It slowly starts morphing into a fully grown sheep. With every passing moment, the creature gets stronger. We arrive by bus into a new area and follow the only way forward. Inside, through the face of an enormous clock built into the side of a building. This is the orphanage, and the first thing we see are more children, or what used to be children. It's like their bodies have been turned to sand, some kind of petrification that stopped them mid-movement. Except some of them aren't fully gone. Some of them are still moving, and they are not friendly. What they're doing here is feeding living beings to something. There's a hole in the middle of a room and the sand children are lowering pigs down into it on ropes like an offering. We watch them do it from above, and then we see the hands of some creature grabbing it from below. But it gets worse, because when we return later, we see Bucket, the final friend, being lowered towards the same hole. We get there just in time to stop it, and then they turn on us instead. When we wake up, we're already at the bottom. This cave is called Sand City, and something is already crawling out of the ground by the time we can move. This is the creature the orphanage has been feeding. This is what all those pigs were for. We find Bucket, but he immediately gets taken by the creature. She's known as the Mother. 8 limbs arranged like a spider, but where a head should be, there's just a large, dark opening, and out of that opening come more of the sand children. She has been filling this orphanage, feeding herself through the very things she creates. It's one of the most quietly horrible ideas in the entire game, and Tarsier renders it without flinching. We corner her eventually. We deal with the being by throwing sharp pins at her, and then we crawl through the opening to get bucketed out. She starts hacking, spitting out the children before slumping over and giving into her injuries. Just like that, our final friend has been rescued. Now all we need to do is get the hell out of this place. We find a car on the way and get inside. And that's when the girl's vision hits again, harder than before. The sheep is nearly out. This animal at the bottom of the well is starting to look like it's already too late to stop. We're back on the water, and unfortunately, thanks to the earlier exploration, I already know what's waiting for us. There's only one waterway left we haven't been through, and the reason we haven't been through it is still standing right there. So before we do anything, we need to deal with that first. There looks to be an old rusty cannon on a small island nearby. It's barely functioning and pointed in completely the wrong direction, but with some work and some heavy lifting, we get it aimed, we fire, and whatever that thing was blocking the corridor is now at the bottom of the lake. It's a little unnerving being on the water right above an undead skeleton horse, but we pass through. On the other side, there's a warship, massive and half collapsed, sitting across the entire path like a wall. We get on board and find our way inside, and that's when we find something strange. A whale coiled into a tight spiral inside of the ship, internal organs visible through tears along its body. Something did this to it. Something took its time doing it. And whatever that something was also took the whale's eye, because one of the sockets is empty. We find scuba gear and we go under. What follows is an underwater section that is easily one of my favorite sequences. There's something about the way REANIMAL handles the shift in movement, the slow drift of the water physics, the way sound changes, the ruins of whatever this place used to be passing on both sides. It just made it feel completely unlike anything else in the game. It's almost peaceful down here. But then we run into the creature we killed earlier resting at the bottom. We use a crowbar we found earlier to take one of its eyes to bring back to the whale. And I think we all know what's going to happen next. The brook horse is still alive. We're being chased by something that has no business being underwater, that shouldn't even be alive. And it's one of the most purely terrifying things this game does. These visuals alone were enough to make me hold my breath for this entire part. The chase ends when the brook horse finds the naval mines. We take the elevator back up and it finds us one last time, grabbing the cage as we rise. The children slip free just before it destroys the cage. We bring the eye back to the spiral whale. It accepts it and then it begins to move, slowly, completely showing its full form for the first time as it uncoils inside the ship and clears the path ahead. It's enormous and unlike anything else we've encountered on this island. It doesn't want to hurt anyone, it just wants to see. We continue through more flooded streets, broken roads, submerged cars, the waterlogged remnants of whatever normal life looked like here before all of this. And then finally, the water recedes and we reach land. And what happens next is genuinely one of the most disgusting, evil, and scary things I have ever seen in a game. The screen distorts, the light goes red, the girl can barely walk and the other children are scared. It almost seems like they want to get away from her, but the boy approaches and we get one more vision of the well. The sheep is ready, it's climbing, it's growing out of the well. The girl falls to her knees and starts throwing up and then... She vomits the thing up whole. It staggers onto its feet in the middle of the subway station and disappears into the waiting room at the back. What follows is the sound of Hood screaming and being devoured. All we can do is stand there and witness in horror. 5 people walked into the station. 4 of them are walking out. What the hell do we do now? The city above is an active war zone. Trenches cut through the streets, and moving through them means navigating past soldiers in World War I British uniforms who are choosing, one after another, to end their own lives rather than face whatever is happening here. They are the most human-looking things in this entire game. Just men deciding that this world is no longer worth surviving. The sheep beast finds us again in the trenches. It's bigger than it was. It breaks through and takes Bucket. 3 children left. We escape into an underground medbay where legless soldiers detonate themselves in the hallways, willing to take the children with them just to make their pain stop. At the end of the corridor, Bandage is backing away from something. The sheep beast fills the doorway behind him, reaches out, and swallows him whole. Then it tears through the wall and it's gone. 2 children left. But then we walk into a room that reframes everything. A piano completely intact, completely out of place, sitting in a room that war has torn apart around it. The ground shaking with explosions below, and one soldier is just playing. I don't know how long I sat with this moment. A man choosing beauty in the middle of something that has made beauty impossible. And Tarsier put it here because they could. Just like the flower field, there is no one above them with a franchise document telling them what this game is and isn't allowed to feel like. That's an answer to the question this video started with. It's not just how gruesome the corpse doorways are, the sheep beast, or any of the other things that made me want to look away from the screen. It's this too, the understanding that real dread needs something worth losing. And that's exactly how easy it is to take it all away. The area outside is all debris and dead soldiers and distant explosions. The silhouette of the sheep beast occasionally lit up against the red sky. And then at the end there's a tank. It looks like it's waiting for us, so we climb in. What follows is completely unhinged, and I mean that as the highest possible compliment. We're taking fire from every direction, shells bouncing off the hull, and then the sheep beast arrives and we shoot back. It keeps coming until it falls through a crack in the streets and comes back up through it, grabbing the tank, and we're both sent down through an opening in the ground. For a second there, it looked like the sheep was down for good, but it reappears again and takes the boy. And now, it's just the girl. She runs, the creature mutates around her, its body expanding to fill everything. Walls and ceiling and floor all becoming part of it until she's standing on top of a car rising into the air on the surface of something incomprehensible and ancient. It cranes its head towards her. She has nowhere left to go. Inside it, we see them, a black and white memory with the boy, Hood, Bandage, Bucket, all hunched over something together, cutting their hands and pouring their blood. The ritual, the thing that started all of this. The girl walks through the walls of the creature and calls out for them, following them into a wooden shed and finds a white rabbit dead in the center of it. Suddenly, the doors close. The 4 friends assault her inside the shed, and in the next scene, we're outside in a body bag. The girl is still moving inside of the body bag, and sheep appear from everywhere, standing upright in a circle around them, watching and screaming. The girl lies at the bottom of the well, and the 4 children look down. It looks like whatever they tried to do worked, but then something moves inside the girl. She snaps and the screen cuts. That's the end of REANIMAL, and I know you're probably sitting there with more questions than answers. Trust me, that's intentional. This is a Tarsier game. Here's what I took from it. The friends we spent the entire game rescuing were the ones who started all of this. In a world already torn apart by war, 4 children decided that the boy's sister was the cause of it. A bad omen, something cursed, and they sacrificed her into the well to make it stop. What came up was something different. And there's a secret ending I'm not going to spoil here that makes all of that land even harder. Not only that, there are multiple DLCs coming in the next year, so this is definitely not the end. And as always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the journey through REANIMAL, and if you did, make sure to like, comment, and hit the bell notification icon to stay up to date. And I'll see you in the next Cosmic Lore video.